this
Sounds
is Rick
good.
Osmon for Invest Comics TV, and we have a wonderful interview today with Mr. David King, creator of Oscar and Sid. How you doing, David?
Doing well. How you doing?
I'm okay. Now, Oscar and Sid's coming up on a huge deal, a milestone. Why don't you describe that for us?
This coming Wednesday, Oscar and Sid will be hitting its 500th strip, posted on their website. And it's a pretty huge milestone because I didn't think I'd get 5 done, to be honest with you. But to be able to hit 500 is, I'm very proud of it because I'm proud of my strip. So yeah, that's the big deal coming up.
That's a huge milestone, and it'll coincide with the posting of this particular interview. At least that's
right.
The plan. Now, I guess going back to the roots of Oscar and Sid, what made you decide to get started with this?
Oscar and Sid actually kind of started when I was in high school. They were doodles that were turned in on every single test or quiz or piece of homework that I gave in. You'd see them on the margins of the paper. And I always used to doodle them. And a while ago, my wife actually said, you know what, you should turn that into a comic strip. And I said, there's no way I can write a comic. There's no way I can do that. So she said, you know what, just give me one. Do one for me as a gift, and we'll see what happens. I did that one. It came pretty easy, so I just kind of started sitting down and seeing what I could come up with.
Excellent.
And that's how it started.
Well, I'm grateful to your wife for doing that, actually. I've been
Me too.
I've been going through some of them. Particularly, I started with the exclusive versions, the ones that you had put up for Invest Comics.
You mean the one Mr. J. Katz asked me to do for Invest Comics?
That's the one, yeah. Jay.
You're welcome, Jay.
He'll appreciate that. Shout out to Jay. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is inspiration. I know that a lot of people who do this kind of creative work, they need constant inspiration, so to speak. What's yours?
Well, the main inspiration that I get is the people that have come before me that have laid the groundwork for somebody like me to be able to sit at a desk and put scratches on a piece of paper and let people read it. The typical Walt Kelly, Charles Schultz. I'm a gigantic Calvin and Hobbes fan from way back in the day. I think that Watterson is a genius. And even not just in the comic strip aspect, there's Frank Frazetta, there's Dick Giordano in the comic book industry, Jim Lee. These people have all inspired me. And as far as inspiration for the story, it's usually stuff I see around me that's happening, people I can make fun of or things in my life that has affected me. But that's kind of what inspires me to keep going.
Well, you mentioned Calvin and Hobbes, which has always been one of my favorites. And I visited Norway a number of times. And in Norway, they actually have a different name. And it's Tommy og Tiger. So,
okay.
But it's the same strip with the same joke. So, if you can read Norwegian, it's the same thing you'd read here. So
I tell you what, I read I read Calvin and Hobbes when I was a kid. And it had a meaning to me then, Well, since then, I've read it 100 times as an adult. And it's amazing how that strip is something completely different to me now than it was when I was a kid, but I still relate to it. That's how genius that strip is that a 5-year-old's going to laugh at it and a 95-year-old's going to laugh at it.
Yep. It's layered so well for
right.
It's not just a depth of joke, like you mentioned. It's more than one joke when it's more than one person reading it, or in your case, the same person reading it at vastly different times. And that's kind of the genius that we all want to emulate. So I know that you have aspirations and actually a plan to get Oscar and Sid syndicated. So what is your plan for Oscar and Sid to take over the world?
I want a balloon in the Macy's parade. That's my goal. I want to see Sid floating down past Macy's and bumping into the buildings in New York. No, I am trying to get syndicated because it's everybody. granted, paper is going away, but I'm sorry, it's everybody's dream to hold that Sunday paper and be able to point at something and say, see that? I did that. But I'm not relying, I'm in pretty deep talks with 3 of the different syndicates, but I'm not hanging my hat on that. I want to, if I have to do it by myself, I want, the merchandising handled by me. I just want I want people to be able to love Oscar and Sid as much as I love doing it. So if I'm syndicated, great. If not, I'm going to bust whatever I have to get it done myself.
So I'm guessing you're going to be out in the garage making little lunch boxes and stuff. Is that what you're telling me?
I actually already have a merchandise site with some T-shirts and mouse pads and all that fun stuff. Luckily, I don't have to print them. But yeah.
It does make a difference.
And I'm a pretty big, I make a pretty big point to get out to a lot of the conventions because I figure if I can meet people face to face, take the politician approach, one person at a time, turn them into an Oscar and Sid fan and let them, like Amway, let them tell 3 people and them tell 3 people and then they're buying my product.
Well, you mentioned a couple of the greats within daily comics, and I have to throw my 2 cents worth in there. Obviously, Johnny Hart.
Okay.
Obviously, Jim Davis, a few of the others. What do you think of careers like that have just gone bananas, even past their deaths?
To me, those guys, they touched a nerve when they first started, and it's I call it the cubicle effect. Because before they had computers, you cut out a comic strip and you hung it in your cubicle, and those were the go-to ones that obviously meant something to somebody in their life. Garfield, you talk about Jim Davis. Everybody can relate with those characters, and that's the go-to one that's hanging in somebody's workspace. And he has just become, when you think of a big fat orange cat, anybody's cat you see is Garfield. He has just, and that's through his hard work and his talent.
And as I was telling you yesterday, I'm older than dirt. Moses owes me 3 shekels still. Anyway, I remember when the first Garfield animated special hit television. And as we were discussing last night, getting ready for this interview, they chose the perfect voice talent for Garfield. And the perfect line was, "I'm not known for my compassion." So, and that's Garfield.
Right. So, I tell you that it's genius of Jim Davis because it's really touchy. Watterson didn't want a Calvin and Hobbes cartoon because he didn't want people to hear a voice when they read it. He wanted them to hear their own thing. Right. But Jim Davis was able, and he had a say in it, to pick the perfect voice. So if you read Garfield in the paper today, you hear that cartoon voice.
Yes, you do.
And that's such a fine line to walk.
It is. I was a little disappointed they didn't keep that voice throughout, but they didn't. We're going to go to a break, and we'll be right back, folks. Stick with us.
Greetings, Earthlings. I am for the planet Zordon. Watch my friends, Dennis, Crenshaw, and Rick Osmon, unraveling the secrets, right here on the Soup Media Network each Saturday at midnight Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific, and each Sunday, at noon Eastern. They will bring you interesting guests and information from all over, above, or inside your pathetic little planet. Oh my. I've misplaced my tinfoil derby.
Okay, we're back with David King, creator of Oscar and Sid, and hopefully soon to be syndicated, Getting Rich and Famous, and all that junk. So, and with lunch pails and movies and stuff. Now, you today or tomorrow, I'm not sure when this will be posted, is your 500th strip. Do you find yourself struggling for ideas for new strips?
There's a lot of times I sit down at the desk and stare at a blank piece of paper for a while. But then something will happen just completely off the blue. And I do my stories like a week-long story arc at a time. Mm-hmm. So if I can hear the last joke that's going to go on Friday, normally I can work backwards to how I'm going to get the people there. And as cheesy as this sounds, I've heard a lot of people say it, and I didn't buy it until just now. My guys kind of write themselves. Oscar and Sid kind of write themselves. I mean, I can hear, if I see a situation, I can see and hear how Sid's going to handle it, you know, and then I can see how he's going to bounce it off of Oscar. So I do struggle for like that last punchline, but once I get it, it kind of goes into cruise control and they take care of themselves.
Okay, well, that brings up the question, I guess. Which one's the funny guy and which one's a straight guy?
I would say Oscar would be the straight man, and Sid would be the wacky, you know, punchline guy. Okay. But I've had Oscar in enough situations that he's kind of had his situation also.
Yeah, and I've noticed in a couple of the strips there might be the occasional payback.
Definitely. Yeah, Sid. One example. Let me see. Sid found a grappling hook on the side of the road one day, and he spent 3 strips trying to use it to snatch Oscar's beer. Well, the payback was Sid took a tumble off the building and broke his arm, and et cetera, et cetera. That actually came from, I was walking down the road and saw a grappling hook, and I was like, well, I have to make a comic out of this.
You've got to do something with it, yeah. So, do you take inspiration from your wife, from people around you, or just anything and everything, and it all comes together as a strip? Is that
anything and everything? Completely observation. It's kind of funny. My family is extremely reluctant to say stuff around me now because they don't want to see it in print the next week.
Yeah, I understand that.
They'll often say something and everybody will turn their head and look at me real quick and be like, David, don't. I don't want to see it. So, but no, it's, you know, it started off as every guy in their 20s has stories of hanging out with their friends and, you know, escapades that may or may not be alcohol fueled. And a lot of my first jokes kind of came from that.
Cool. So, what age are these characters? I mean, how old are these guys?
The strip started, number 1 was the day they graduated from college. So I'd say they're early to mid-20s-ish. But, you know, that's the thing about a comic strip. They're really ageless. I mean,
yep.
You know, Calvin, for the 10 years he was there, was a 6-year-old boy. He had 5 birthday parties or whatever, but he never aged. So hopefully Oscar and Sid can stay ageless.
Cool. Now, as for yourself, I don't like to ask people their age, but I know that you, in our discussion yesterday, you said that you'd had a little bit of graphic arts training in college, but
briefly.
Most of this is just something that you, as you mentioned, you've doodled all your life, pretty much.
Absolutely.
Well,
yeah, I've been
school must be different for you, because if I did that on stuff in school, that'd have X'd me out. But anyway.
The teachers kind of laughed at it too. They thought, you know, that I would do little caricature versions of them. So when I would turn my work in, it was kind of expected that there was going to be something on there. But yeah, I went to just about a year of college doing graphic stuff, and it bored me to tears. It wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it helped me with basics, but as far as the comic or comic books or any of the work I do now, it's mostly been learning on the job. You know, a lot of help from people who have said, "Oh, try it this way, try it that way," that kind of thing.
Well, I've never tried to do daily strip type stuff. I've tried my hand at, you know, the art end of comic books, trying to emulate some of the greats, which I'll never achieve. But nevertheless, I used to enjoy trying, and I have a few examples squirreled away here someplace because I don't really want many people to see them. But I can admire the talent, and I've looked at enough of your strips to say, yeah, guy's got talent. So,
well, thank you.
So
I think I got everybody fooled with the smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, smoke and mirrors. I was in the laser business for 15 years. You get a lot of smoke on your mirrors. But the upshot is happy anniversary or happy event or whatever you want to call it with your 500 strip, and I'll look forward to number 1,000.
We'll talk again. A couple of years. We'll hopefully by that time, number 1,000 is going to be in a newspaper.
Excellent. I'll certainly look forward to it, David, and I've had a blast talking with you, and I hope we can do it again offline.
I can't wait, man. Thank you very much.
Alrighty. And this is Rick Osmon for Invest Comics TV and bringing you some of the best people in the business like David King. We'll see y'all later.
Bye.